Okay, there I am. All right, yeah. You see me now?
Yep, there you
Little
are.
guy up top.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has, man. How you doing?
Yeah, very good, thanks. It's great news to hear that this new live album coming out.
Yeah, we're pretty
Last
excited.
time, yeah, last time we spoke would have been pre-pandemic, which of course changed everything for a
Oh yeah, that was
lot
at
of
least
people.
5, 6 years. Yeah, it was at least 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I guess the interesting thing is the thing for me that I'm dying to ask is when was this live one recorded?
Well, so it was recorded. Some of the tracks were recorded with Danny Del Rosa on guitar,
Yeah,
like in 2017,
okay.
and some of the tracks were recorded with John Matthews on guitar. We recorded actually three different gigs, and they just happened to be about 6 months apart. And I don't know if you remember that, but Danny wanted to do his own thing,
Yeah.
uh, made his own album and everything like that. And so we just got John back in the band. You know, he was the original guitarist. So we got John in the band. And so we recorded the three different places, all of them in California. And two of them sounded really, really good. One of them just sounded like crap. You know, it was like, we're not going to use this one. And then so it was kind of hard because we had a full concert with John and a full concert with Danny,
Mm,
right? So it was kind of weird because it was like, well, because we wanted some of the songs with Dan and some of the songs with John because they weren't the same set list, you
yeah.
know. So I basically fused those two concerts together at two different, places that we did, and we come up with we had 16 songs recorded. And I came up with 14.
Wow. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, you were sounding fantastic back when I saw you last time on the Monsters of Rock cruise. I mean,
Yeah, that was a fun gig.
everyone I met who saw you said how great it was. Is there any chance of the band playing live again?
You mean playing on the Monsters of Rock cruise?
No, just live in general.
Oh yeah, we've got some dates right now. We're working on. I know we've got some dates. We're starting in July.
Yeah.
We've got a few dates up until November right now. We're talking to a lot of different places right now. You know, the booking agents on it, getting on it. We figure that we'll be ready to play. We'll probably be ready to play really around May, but our
Okay.
first gig for that's on the books, contract written is in July.
Okay.
So
So
that's where
I
we're at.
should be looking at then to come back
Well, we're going to
over
start
this way.
announcing that stuff soon as we get like maybe at least 4 or 5 dates in a row that are all set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And who's in the band?
Well, uh, so right now it's the only one that's not in the band is Danny, because Danny, like I
Okay,
said,
cool.
so so this whole album has all the original members and everything like that except for Dan.
Mm. All right, that's fantastic news. And you've been off doing your own thing as well. I mean, you've put out some wonderful music over the last few years. Is there anything else
Thank you.
coming up from you solo?
So this came about because I was talking with Tom over at Paris Records, and he asked me if I had anything, uh, wanted to release anything, and I said, well, I've got about 7 or 8 rock tunes that I've been working on for about a year and a half, and they all sound pretty kick ass. And some of them kind of sound like Babylon A.D, but some of them don't. They're a little bit more poppy, like
Yeah.
like a Cheap Trickish thing or something like that.
Oh,
So
nice.
he said, well, what about Babylon A.D? You guys got anything there? And that's how this whole thing developed. Was like, well, wait a minute now. I've got three gigs recorded. You know, we can start with that, and so we've been in the studio off and on since COVID,
Mm.
writing for Babylon AD at the same exact time, just working up enough tunes. Because we can go through a batch of about 10 or 11 songs, and then after you listen to them after a few months, you go, that one's not that good, or this one's great. Let's keep that. So right now we're in the rehearsal stage and the demoing stage of doing a new record, but that's not going to come out till next year. I
Yeah.
think we've got 5 solid songs right now.
That's fantastic. It's been a while since the band formed. I think 36 years this year, 34 since the debut, which would make it 31 years since Nothing
Which would make
Sacred.
me about 38.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And me just slightly younger than that. But it's uh, it's been a while. How do you look back on those early days now? I mean, is it something you always look back on with affection? Like, do you
You know what it was like, man? It was like it was a whirlwind. It's like a car driving down the road 150 miles an hour and there's a cliff in front of you. You're not sure if you're supposed to make a left or right. You know, when you're that young and you get handed a record deal and everybody's telling you you're going to be a star and patting you on the back and all this crap, but pretty soon it goes to your head and you start believing that shit.
Yeah.
And then you get hit with lawsuits of this and the legal people come involved and just crazy shit happens in the music business and that's why they call it the music business. As a musician, as a singer and songwriter, it was hard to adjust. All I wanted to do when I was a kid was get a record deal and just, someday be, like Y&T or whatever, just your dreams, I hope I could be like Aerosmith, that's what you're thinking when you're a kid, and then it lands in your lap. And then pretty soon you start seeing like there's a lot of politics that get involved that have nothing to do with music. And it kind of screws with your head a little bit. But I don't think, I would never change anything or say, no, I don't want that record deal. You'd still take it no matter what. It's just would have been better if maybe would have been a little bit mentally prepared of how it all works, because it's just it's like Molly Crew says, it's just a big grinding machine, man. And you got to figure out how to move through the grease up the wheels,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we did have a lot of good times, and we still have good times. But of course, then was every day and every night, 24 hours a day. Now it's on a weekend, so we can catch our breath.
Live Lightning's the new album. It's out, I think, 17th of March over here. I'm guessing that's all over the place. The track listing is interesting as well. There's obviously quite a lot from the debut. Not too much from Nothing Sacred, which is now one.
Yeah, so we didn't really have anything recorded from Nothing Sacred. We had a couple of them that sounded pretty good. I think we had Slave Your Body that sounded pretty good. I think Sacrifice Your Love, we had that one, but they just didn't. It seemed like that third gig that I told you about.
Yeah.
It just didn't sound good. So basically, what we did was go through the ones that sounded the best. We didn't want to go in the studio and just like redo everything like a lot of bands do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so we went with whatever sounded the best. And to be honest with you, the last maybe I'd say for the last 10 years or so, when we did play out and everything like that, we didn't play a lot of stuff off the Nothing Sacred album. We usually played about 3, maybe 4 songs off of it. Because we had songs off American Blitzkrieg that we really loved, and I know a lot of people, fans, haven't really grasp onto it or know about it, because they're just put out at an odd time, But so, and we'd throw some newer songs on there, But there was most of our hits were on the first album, So that's what people want to hear. Well, then that's what you want to play,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting, that whole debate is sort of like flared up a bit in Australia at the moment with bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers coming over and playing. They played some of their, I guess, lesser known songs. Their first few dates went down very badly. Everyone wanted the greatest hits. So I see where you're coming from with that.
It's hard too, because you want to show your new stuff and say, look, we got new stuff. But at the same time, if you got a Hammer Swings Down or something that just everybody knows, if you don't play that song after the gig, man, they're going to let you know it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So you're playing some. I noticed a while ago you're playing some sort of like classic rock gigs as well, which sound intriguing. Some sort of like classic rock gigs as well, some cover gigs.
Yeah. So me and Dan put together this band with Ben Wong, who used to be in Montrose, and the drummer Marty Schuhart used to be in Greg Kihn for like 13 years, and we were just bullshitting one night, and a lot of the gigs around here in the Bay Area where we're from, man, it is so weird. They don't want to hear no covers, they don't want to hear no originals. You know what they want? Tribute acts, and that's it. You can't even get a gig unless you're a tribute act. So I said, okay, I know how we could get around this. We all like UFO. We like Aerosmith. We like Thin Lizzy. We like we named off about 10 bands that we really like. And they said, why don't we just figure out a niche where we can just be 3 or 4 bands? So we could still say we're a tribute act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the same time, do the songs that we always love. Like we do 6 songs of Aerosmith, UFO, Montrose, and Thin Lizzy. So it's, you know, you got 24 songs right there. That's a full 2 hour concert. And that's all we do. We don't do anything else. That's it. But we do them really well, man, because everybody's play. We all grew up on this shit. This is our like roots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's fun. We do about a gig maybe about every twice a month, you know, just for the hell of it. And all of our friends come out and our fans and our family, and just, you know, we'll always have something to look forward to, you know. And it was really easy to put together. I think we practiced 3 times so far, and we've been together about a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I mean, it's sort of like similar, I think, wherever you go. Everyone wants music that they're familiar with, but it's just a wonderful way of doing it. I thought when I read
Yeah.
about
And
that.
so we could get into these places that only, you know, say tribute, because they go, well, we're doing a tribute.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, that's cool. So 25 years since the Live in Your Face album, which was the first one from Babylon A.D. as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's a whole heap of, I guess, anniversaries going back. Really love the last live album as well that came out. I think around about that would have been
Yeah. Well, that
2015.
was another thing that was kind of funny, because at first we were like, man, another live album. And then somebody told me something like, well, you know, Dave Matthews got 25 live albums. I went,
Yeah,
huh? And then, hey, so-and-so's got 16. I went, well, hell, we could put out another one then.
yeah, yeah, and you've still got room for 10 more. So that's
Right.
fantastic. I mean, I think I've got probably about 30 or 40 Black Crows live albums.
Is that many?
Yeah,
Wow.
they used to do the it was a bit different, I guess. They used to do that instant live thing where you'd
Oh,
be able to pick up a recording of the show after the show. It was
yeah, like a gun, like a what's that? Grateful Dead type of thing.
yeah, it was popular for a
Similar.
few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good to see the Babylon AD shirt in the background there. I've been
Oh yeah.
I was wearing that one myself the other day when I went to see Sting,
All right. Keep promoting, man.
which was cool. But and two people in Sting's audience recognised the band as well, which is always good.
That's good. Yeah,
Which is cool.
absolutely.
But yeah, any international plans? Like I
Oh, we don't
know.
know yet. I mean, you know, since we haven't played in about 5 years,
Hmm,
you know, it's like starting all over again, but it's
yeah,
kind of exciting, you know. Uh, we've got a couple booking agents that we're starting to work with, but everything is happening real fast, because we just really last month in January, I was mixing the record.
hmm,
Then I give it to the record label, and already we're talking within 3 weeks of me giving it to them. And now the record's released on March 17th worldwide,
yeah.
you know? So all the press is going to start hitting. You're the very first person to do an interview with. And
Cool. I
they're
should.
already talking. They got a lot to do. So I got a lot of work sitting here talking to people.
You have to get back in the swing of that as well.
I got to get back in the swing of shit. Yeah.
It's funny because this morning I'm talking to you, and then I've got Satchel from Steel Panther
Oh, cool.
in about half an hour, and then I've got the guys from Godsmack. So it's
Oh yeah.
busy
Those
morning.
guys are really good, man.
I feel the new album's fantastic.
Really, I got to get it then, because I like those guys. You know, another band I like that's similar to them a little bit is Monster Magnet. Are they still around? I haven't heard anything
Yeah,
about this. Wow.
yeah, they sort of. They put out a sort of like weird sort of old um, from the vaults type record
Really?
last
I'd like
year,
to hear
which
that. Yeah.
it was an acquired taste. I think it
Oh,
was like
really?
what
Okay. Well,
way
I want to even hear more.
it was way back from the early days. I think it's probably about the first thing they ever recorded, but
Oh, wow.
it was.
That's like Aerosmith. Did you pick up that new Aerosmith album that they released?
I pick up everything Aerosmith, but that was absolutely
The new one
fantastic.
the new one that's just their first demos that anyone ever heard that they did.
Yeah, yeah. I had a bootleg of a lot of that stuff for
Yeah, it's
years and
really
years.
cool, man.
It is. I mean, what a fantastic band. Hopefully, I'll get to see those guys again. I mean, what a double
Yeah.
bill that would be. Babylon A.D. and Aerosmith.
Yeah, it almost happened one time where we were licking our chops, and you know, everybody was like, "You guys are going to go on tour with Aerosmith," and all of a sudden, like, I don't know what happened. You know, booking agent called and said, "Well, it's not going to happen." Never told us why.
Wow, that would have been
But
some
for about
show.
3 weeks there, it was like, all right, you guys are going to go on tour. That was on our first album. We thought, we were going to be, you know, having a great time, going on tour with our idols, but that just never developed.
Yeah, because you do
William
you
Morris
do it.
agency, and I don't know, they started switching us around between booking agents. So
Yeah, you do a really good Aerosmith cover as well.
yeah,
I
well,
think.
like I said, my favorite singer when I was a kid was Sammy Hagar and Steven Tyler. So all I did in my room when I was 14 years old is try to, try to get that grit. And, I didn't have it, but I was trying, man. I'm back, and I'd sound like, probably a chicken, but I said, man, one day I'm going to be able to nail this stuff. And I nail it pretty good now.
Yeah, you certainly do. One of the most impressive live bands I've seen.
Thanks, man.
And you've still got it. Not many bands, I guess, of
Yeah,
that
I've noticed
vintage.
that lately. I've noticed that some of the singers that I used to look up to, I see them in concert or see some videos of them, and I'm saying like, wow. I mean, like, I don't know what happened, because everybody asked me how come I still could sing or whatever.
Yeah,
I know I'm better than I was back then. I could do a lot more stuff, But a lot of singers, man, I'm kind of confused how they aren't singing better. They're singing worse.
yeah.
It just kind of
And
confuses me a little bit.
there doesn't seem to be any secret to it either. I mean, I'm gonna ask you what your secret is in a second, but whenever I ask guys who have kept that voice, like people like Glenn Hughes and people like
Yeah.
that, whose voice over the years has just seems to have got stronger, like yours. There's no
Look
real
at Paul
secret.
Rogers, man. That guy could still,
Oh man,
he's great.
he always has been up
I
there for
know.
me, one of the very best. But
Oh, no shit. He's probably one of the top 5 of all time for me, you
yeah,
know.
absolutely. Yeah, for me, Steve Marriott, Paul Rogers,
Oh,
Derek
Steve
Davis.
Marriott's great, but we don't know if he'd still be singing that good right now. We can't compare.
No, that's right. Sadly, but yeah, I mean Derek Davis right up there for me as well. So
Yeah.
you've certainly not lost anything, and certainly gained something.
Well,
I think
like Steve Perry, he doesn't really have it anymore from Journey. Have you heard listen to any of that stuff?
not really. No,
Yeah,
no.
I heard some of that stuff about 6 months ago, and I went, huh, wow. It was just, I don't know. It was,
Yeah,
he doesn't
it's
have the
hard.
range.
Yeah, it's hard. We all get older, and I guess things either go south or they continue to climb. And
Yeah.
yeah, sadly, there's a few bands coming to an end, I guess, these days because of that. Like, who knows what will happen with Kiss when they finish their never-ending tour?
Yeah.
Whitesnake look like they're done, but
Really.
it'll be cool to yeah, cool to see you guys. I think I'll as soon as those dates
Well, I
get
know
announced.
one band that's still kicking and still doing a good job is Tesla. You know,
Yes, yeah,
they're
Jeff
still doing a
sounds.
kick-ass job, man. And Jeff could still sing really well. You know,
Yeah,
um,
ab-
those guys
absolutely.
got their shit together.
That'd be another good band to get out on tour with, I reckon. Tesla.
Yeah, we
That
know
would,
all those guys and jam with them sometimes. And we've only played with them maybe twice in our entire career. And we've always said, why don't you let us open for you, man? It just never
yes,
seems to happen.
especially when they come to town. They always play San Francisco.
Yeah, they're
So
playing in Sacramento. I think it's June 10th, which is about 2 hours away from the Bay Area.
yeah,
Uh, our sound guy, well, was their sound man was our sound man for about 5 years. And when they called, it was Troy called me and said, hey, do you know a good sound man? And I said, yeah, I know a good sound man. So I turned him on to our sound man because we weren't working. Then he called back a little while and said, hey, do you guys have a good guitar tech? We go, yeah, Mark Bustos, he's a great guitar tech. And so both those guys have been working for them for like the last 20 years. This
wow,
was like in 2000 or something like that. And yeah, so it's a trip,
yeah,
but it's good for those guys. I just seen them we played a gig at Fulton 55, did a heavy for 70s band. And they were all out there, and Steve ran our sound, and Marco did guitars, just like the old days, because they were off tour with Tesla. So it was pretty fun seeing those guys again after a few years.
that would have been fantastic. And it's very cool to catch up with you again, Derek. Always
Yeah,
is. I'm
yeah,
I'm
man.
holding out for another blues album as well. I mean, what you
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I think I'm kind of bluesed out. I played that slide guitar stuff for about 10 years, and and pretty soon I worked on everything. And after a while, I wanted to get back to rock again. I did that R&B
Mm,
record, the soul type of thing, revolutionary soul.
yeah.
And, I got my kicks out on that. I said, okay, well, this is something I haven't done before. So I'm going to do this. So for a year and a half, I wrote songs and I recorded that kind of style, Bobby Womack kind of thing,
Yeah.
And then I just got the bug to start playing hard rock again, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
it's
kind of goes in
fantastic.
cycles. I had to try everything out to see what I wanted to land on my feet the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to get that stuff out of your system, especially when the results so great. I mean, I played Revolutionary Soul the other day in the car, and the guy who was sat beside me, he goes, "Oh wow, this is fantastic! I've never heard
Yeah.
this before.
It
Who's
was a
who's
good
this?"
record, man. I mean, there wasn't a lot of promotion or anything behind it. I just put it out myself and I threw it out there. I really didn't know what how much to do with it, because at the same exact time that I put that out,
Yeah.
like a month later, we got a record deal from Frontiers Record for Babylon A.D. So
Mm.
as I'm starting the promotion on Revolutionary Soul, Babylon A.D. gets a record deal to start recording and start making the album for Frontiers Records. So it just kind of just went to the wayside.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I had a little bit more time to spend on, press and promotion and shit like that. Cause I love that album, man. Even though it's mine, even when I hear it, I like, man, sometimes I say to myself, how the hell did I do that?
Yeah.
The reverbs and stuff I chose and everything. I listened to a lot of old records, a lot of the old 60s and 70s Stax records and things like that, to try to get that kind of trippy kind of old sound, I guess you'd say. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had fun with that one.
You nailed it. Absolutely. It
Thank you,
sounds
man.
fantastic.